interesting was we're doing this to try to provide a service to African Americans, and all these other companies, you know, multi-million-dollar companies, have databases that are a fraction of what we have in terms of Africans, and they're, you know, moving along. They're not even thinking about African Americans or African, and you know, that was the context in which this whole thing emerged, because I'm at Howard University. I'm trying to study genetics of African Americans and people of African descent, and there's not a lot of data out there. You know, for so long, we just, I mean, I say we, I mean, for so long, scientists, the biomedical industry did not care about people of African descent. And so they just studied Europeans and mainly like European men, and not even, you know, there wasn't a lot of diversity in these databases. And then I said, look, you know, I'm focused on Black people. I didn't get my PhD to study white people, and I don't want people to think I'm a racist. Don't walk away saying I said this. What I said is I got my PhD to study Black people, okay? And I wanted to provide a service to Black people. That's the bottom line.
So what does it mean for a genetic ancestry tracing company to truly understand African DNA?
That's a great question. It's you got to understand it at multiple levels. The first level is the science, right? The genetics, you know, understanding the science of DNA and African DNA. And then you also have to understand the sensitivities that come with that, sort of the bioethics, not the biology or the science, but the bioethics. So I'll talk real quickly about the genetics and the science. You know, African people are part of the oldest communities in the world. And humanity started in Africa. So there's a lot of genetic variation in Africa. And so there is historically, there's been this lack of appreciation of that genetic variation. But now people are embracing it. They're getting excited about it. And there's a lot of research going on within Africa, and then also outside of Africa among people of African descent, because they recognize that there's a lot of variation there. So the science suggests that for African Americans, that we are a mixture of different African ethnic groups from West Africa, West and Central Africa, and then also ancestry from Europeans and Native Americans. And if you don't understand that, then you're not going to be able to take advantage of that genetic variation that you see in the DNA of African Americans. So we understand that. In fact, I've developed methodologies and tools to explore that variation that's unique in the African American population. But the other area that we need to understand, besides the science, is the ethics and the role that science has played in the history of African people, and this whole issue of racializing humanity, and then not only, you know, creating these so-called races, but also creating a hierarchy of which groups are superior to others. All of that started, you know, early on in the history of when Europeans started moving around the world and engaging populations that were different from them. And so we have to understand that, you know, that when we talk about the science of DNA and people of African descent, we have to protect that. We have to protect that information. We have to protect those lineages. And we have to not stereotype. We have a responsibility not to buy into this whole racialization, marginalization, and exploitation.